Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Amanda. So today's What's for Dinner is featuring 3 finger-licking good chicken recipes and a veggie pizza. So if you like content like this, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my posts. And if you're excited for this What's for Dinner, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and we'll get into these recipes. So first we have the oven-baked chicken and rice. So this actually was made over on Jessica O'Donoghue's channel and it looks so good, so I decided to try it myself. I will link her channel down below in the description box. But we're getting started with the seasoning that's actually going to top the chicken. So we've just got some paprika, some thyme, garlic powder, onion powder, salt and black pepper that go in here. We just mix that well. And that's going to be our rub that we'll put on top of our chicken. Once we get that mixed well, we're just going to set that to the side and get started on chopping our onion. So now, it's so funny because every time I chop, my husband's always like, do you have to chop vegetables today? Because he knows that when I chop onions, it starts making his eyes tear up too. So not only am I starting to tear up, he's starting to too. So it's pretty funny. But once you get this onion chopped, you're going to set that to the side. And then you're going to start on your garlic. I'm actually going to use my food chopper, my Pampered Chef food chopper. It makes it really easy to chop up anything like that. So I went ahead and used that and got it into little small pieces. And then we're actually going to take a baking dish and place both of those, the onions and garlic in there, along with a little bit of butter. Now this goes into the oven and it's going to cook for a little bit, kind of almost saute that garlic and onion together. And then you pull that out and then we'll get started building the rest of it. That is, I've never tried anything like that before where you've kind of oven sauteed the onions, so that was really neat. But I've got this seasoning going on my chicken. Just make sure you do both sides. And then once you get that on there, we can start kind of assembling this dish and getting it ready for the oven. Now I will say that when Jessica made it, she also added ranch seasoning to hers, so definitely go watch her video as well, because I think that ranch seasoning would really accent this. Well, I didn't have any, so I didn't do that, but I bet you that would taste really good in this too. So I've just poured that rice in there, and now I'm going to add my liquids. Your liquids do need to be hot because your pan is hot, so you want to go ahead and kind of give the rice a head start to cook since it's not coming to a boil on the stove. And we've just got some chicken broth and some water going in here. And then I'm just going to stir that together, make sure the rice is kind of all covered, and then we're going to lay those chicken breasts on top. Now the instructions actually mentioned that you could pour the liquid around it. I did read some of the reviews on the recipe, and some people said they had some crunchy bits when they did that. They thought it might be better to do the liquid first, so I just went ahead and did the liquid first, then the chicken, and it worked out just fine. Now we're going to cover that with foil, and then we're going to bake that in the oven. It's actually going to bake for 30 minutes while it's covered, and then you're going to uncover it. I just took a fork and kind of, made sure everything was kind of looking okay, fluffed around a little bit, make sure that, that the rice was getting cooked and that kind of thing. Once you uncover it, you actually bake it for another 20 to 25 minutes until the liquid's all absorbed. Now here it is done. It was so good. This was really delicious. My kids love rice, so they love to eat that. In fact, most of the rice was gone. And so here it is plated. I actually went ahead and made some gravy, some chicken gravy to put on this too. And that really just topped it off very nicely. And I steamed some broccoli. So I've got, I showed one plate without the gravy in case you just wanted to serve it like this. But the gravy sure does add something to it. It makes it really comforting, really good comfort food. So next up, we have the veggie pizza. Guys, this is just a simple frozen pizza, but I kind of, kicked it up a notch, I guess you could say, by adding some fresh veggies to it, which I love veggie pizza. It's one of my favorite, type of pizzas to get. And this was so easy to do, just to add it to a frozen pizza already to make a frozen pizza taste a little more homemade, because you really can't beat the convenience of a frozen pizza. So what are y'all's go-to meals when you are kind of don't want to cook, you're tired, whatever it may be? I'm very curious to see what everybody else's quick, kind of convenient type, meals are. This was ours this night. It was just something easy. I'm also trying to work through some of the things in my freezer and trying to get some of that eat down, and then that way we can kind of, refresh things that are in there and not let them stick around too long. Because if any of y'all follow me on Instagram, I actually was digging in there one day for something and I found some butterscotch chips and they were dated 2010. Oh my goodness. I could not believe they had been in there for, well, over 10 years now. And so it's definitely good to rotate your freezer once in a while. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, go ahead and do that. Everything's linked below in the description box, and I always post things on there too. But just out of curiosity, since I did mention that, what is the oldest thing you've ever found in your freezer? I'm curious if I was an anomaly of finding something that was 10 years old, or if some people have found things like that. And of course, it was just, that's a small bag of butterscotch chips, but hey, 10 years, that's kind of crazy. I can't believe they were in there. But let me know what what all you found in your freezer before and been surprised by. So I'm just topping this pizza with these veggies and getting it ready to go in the oven. I also wanted to add a little bit of extra cheese on here just to kind of help hold those veggies in place, since it already has the cheese on the frozen part. And this will kind of melt in there and kind of just keep the veggies in place. And this is really a make your own thing. You can use whatever veggies you like. You can add some meats and things like that. But like I said, my favorite is veggies. So I absolutely love this. It really tasted so good. I will definitely do this again. It just, like I said, so quick and easy and makes a very delicious meal for sure. And if you want to, you could even serve this with a side salad. And that would be a little more veggies and make a great healthy meal. So next up, we have crispy baked chicken with southern potato salad. So first, I'm getting started on the potato salad. I'm just going to finely dice some onions up. Now, typically in the past, I've not really went by a recipe, but I decided to go ahead. This looked really good. I think I found it on Pinterest. I'll have the recipe linked below in the description box, but it looked really good. And I thought, I think I'm going to try doing more of a recipe and see, how this turned out. And we really like this a lot. In fact, my daughter, she absolutely loved it. So I will definitely be making this again. Now, once we've got these onions chopped, we're going to go ahead and chop up some celery. You can kind of, this is one of those things that you mentioned too, celery stalks, but you can use, more or less of things. Like if you don't like onion, you could leave that out. If you want more celery instead of onion, you could add more. A lot of it's pretty, adaptable. And this also calls for 5 hard-boiled eggs, and I'm just using my Pampered Chef food chopper just to chop that up really easily. This worked really well, and it got them into those little crumbles that I wanted for this recipe, so that worked out great. Speaking of eggs, have any of y'all ever boiled your eggs with the potatoes? I didn't do that this time, but I know that some people do that in the Instant Pot together, and I've still not tried my Instant Pot for anything really. I need to try to use it, but I'm curious if that works out pretty well for y'all if you boil the potatoes and the eggs at the same time. So I'm just kind of getting these potatoes into bite-sized pieces. And the biggest thing you want to watch is to make sure you don't overboil these. Just boil them until they get kind of fork tender, because if you boil them, they're just going to mush up when you start mixing this together, and you want them to stay, well, it's personal preference. I've made it where I've kind of mashed up the potatoes, and then I've also made it to where, like the cube like this. So it's just, but just know that if you do overcook them, they will mush up. They won't be those pretty little cubes or anything like that. So we're getting started on the kind of sauce part, however you want to say, of the potato salad. In here, I'm putting some mayonnaise and mustard. We're also going to add some chopped pickles, or you can use pickle relish. I use dill. I just prefer that kind of flavor more. You can use sweet if you like. And then I'm also going to add just a little bit of sugar, some apple cider vinegar, and some garlic powder. And we're going to make sure, now you can also add salt and pepper and that type of thing too. I don't tend to add any salt. The mayonnaise has salt, pickle relish has salt, all that kind of stuff like that. But you can definitely add salt to it if you like, because everybody's, likes something different on that. Once you mix that together well, just go ahead and get those potatoes in there, and then just kind of toss them gently along with the eggs and the celery and onion and everything. Get that all good and mixed together. Now, ideally, you're going to want to, make this to where you can refrigerate it. Well, even overnight would be great, but like maybe if you made it early in the morning and then, you're going to have it for dinner, you just want to try to chill it to get it cool. We did not make it early enough to where it was nice and cold. It was cool, but it wasn't like cold or anything like that. And I definitely liked it better after it sat and the flavors kind of melded together. So I'd recommend overnight if you can. now we're getting started on the chicken part. I don't like fried chicken that much. I just hate, I don't know. I don't like it too much. So this was, supposed to be like a crispy baked chicken. So I thought that sounds good. It'd be kind of like almost like oven fried chicken. And in that bag, I just placed some, actually I use panko and some seasonings. And then, so we've got the breading, and then now we're making like the wet mixture to dip the chicken in. That's just a couple of eggs and some milk. And then in our pan, we're actually going to have some melted butter going in there. And you're going to put the pieces in the butter and kind of flip them around in it a little bit to kind of get them coated with the butter. I later found out that I was not going to be able to cram all this all in one pan, so you'll see me end up having 2 pans instead of one, because this all did not fit, or at least it didn't fit to where it would be able to kind of get crisp. So I want to make sure that it got crisp. And really, I should have just done it in a big sheet pan. I kind of thought with the butter it might need to be like a 9x13 kind of pan, but it would have been fine in like a big sheet pan. So definitely feel free to use that instead of dirtying up 2 pans, because I wished I would have done that. But so basically you're just going to take and dip each piece in the flour and then into the wet mixture, and then you're going to put it in there with those breadcrumbs. Like I said, I use panko just because that's what I had. The recipe actually calls for regular breadcrumbs, but just use whatever you got. I like the panko because they're nice and crunchy, but either one will work. And just make sure you get all of them coated well, and then you're going to place them in that pan. And then like I said, you're going to kind of place it down in that butter, and then once you get it down there, you're going to kind of turn it to where you can kind of coat it a little bit in the butter. That's going to kind of help it crisp up. And as you can see, I'm trying to tightly fit them in there, and I start realizing that's not going to work. So I had to do another pan. But I just did legs and thighs. You can do whatever you like. You can do the bone and breast. I actually want to try this recipe with like just boneless skinless chicken breast, or maybe boneless skinless chicken tenders, because I'll be honest with you, I made this. I have high hopes when I make something with bone-in chicken, and then everybody just doesn't really like the bone-in as much as the boneless. So next time I'll probably actually try to do the boneless instead of the bone-in. And about halfway through cooking, you're going to flip it, just so again it can get more of that butter. You're going to get each side crispy, and that's going to help give it that crunch and that type of thing, so that it can be more like fried chicken in a way. And I think the panko actually helps a little more with that too. So, but you can tell it's nice and crispy on the outside. We really did like this. I liked the flavor a lot in the breading mixture. Like I said, the big thing is that I think nobody really wants to deal with the bone-in chicken. So we'll probably do boneless next time. But this was a great, kind of like a fried chicken kind of meal with a potato salad. And then we made some green beans. And definitely, if you like bone-in chicken, I highly recommend that recipe. It's, without that way you don't have to fry it. So, and then next up we have pan-seared chicken breast with roasted veggies. So as you can tell, we had a lot of chicken. I really didn't mean to plan it that way, but I thought, chicken is what people eat probably more than anything. So it was actually, a great thing. I feel like that more people probably buy chicken than beef a lot of times. But so there was definitely some good meal ideas, some different ways to fix chicken. I love roasted veggies, so I've just chopped up some potatoes here. I had some just bagged broccoli that I used. And I'm putting that rosemary herb pampered chef seasoning on these veggies after I place that olive oil in them. And then I'm just going to kind of, swish, it's not really swish them around, but kind of move them around, get the coating, all the way on them, just get them good and covered with the oil and the seasonings. And these are just going to go in the oven for about 15, 20, 25 minutes. Just kind of depends on, make sure the potatoes are done and just the broccoli to your liking. Now, I will say with potatoes, you have to be really careful to cut them pretty small if you want them to get done at the same time as the broccoli. So keep that in mind whenever you do potatoes along with another veggie. So I'm actually just using some of this Tuscan garlic. This stuff is amazing. Highly recommend it. We get it at Sam's. And I coated both sides of the chicken in that. And then I'm just going to pan sear it. What I did, if y'all watched that where I did the turkey burgers and chicken burgers, I loved how using that lid kind of helped make sure that entire burger got good and done. So I thought, I think I'm going to try that on this chicken. So I did go ahead and, sear it for 5 minutes on the first side, and then I went ahead and flipped it. And when I flipped it, I did the same thing that I did with those turkey burgers. And I'll link that video down below too, if you haven't seen that already, and you can go see those, because those turkey and chicken burgers were amazing. So I used that same method here, covered it up, let it cook. I think I did about another 5 minutes. You're just going to want to make sure it gets good and cooked. I always check the temperature of my chicken. I recommend that you do as well, just because you definitely don't want to eat undercooked chicken. So there I am, just taking the temperature with my digital thermometer and making sure it is 165 degrees, and it was. So I went ahead and removed it from the pan and got ready to finish cooking the rest of them. So I just repeated this process for all the chicken breasts until they were done, and it really was a great way of cooking it and making sure it got completely done. And there's our veggies all done and ready to go. They're so yummy. I love roasted veggies. What are y'all's favorite veggies to roast? I love just about any veggie that I've tried roasted. So this meal was so good. It was just very light and just a different way to cook chicken that's different than baking or frying. Like the pan searing just really adds a nice flavor to it. And we really like changing up a little bit on how we make chicken. Thank you so much for joining me today. I always appreciate your support. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more yummy recipes. And I hope you have a blessed day. See you in the next one.